How is Michael Carrick continuing in this form when everyone thought he was going to be just your average interim with no hope of improving that much? I genuinely didn't think I'd be saying this, but just after 4 games, I actually think Michael Carrick might be the man for the job. He's obviously come in and taken a Manchester United team that was struggling to get any sort of form, any sort of consistent results, and he's won the first 4 games in a row. And it's not just 4 wins against any old crap. You know, it was against Arsenal, top of the league, Man City, title challengers. Spurs are a really talented team, and Fulham. It is a great run, and yeah, we can say the Arsenal performance wasn't great and Arsenal probably should have won, and we can say Spurs are out of form, but these were games where previously Manchester United would have been losing or drawing. So how exactly has Michael Carrick done it? Well, I said in my last video, Carrick seems to be player-centric. And what I mean by that is he puts his players into a logical formation and then sorts out the tactics based on those players' individual strengths. And we saw more of that against Spurs, and it went to the extreme that Manchester United played the game without a proper striker. And this can just be put down to the player profiles that Manchester United had available. Sure, Mbeumo has played up top a lot this season. Cunha, we know, is capable of playing there. And we've also seen Bruno play up top for previous managers as well. But none of them are obviously natural strikers. So what Carrick chose to do was play exactly to their strengths and simply not play with a traditional striker or a proper striker at all. Now, of course, teams playing without a proper striker is nothing new. The false 9 tactic has been a big part of football tactics for the past few years, and even quite recently, Spain won Euro 2012 with 6 midfielders and no strikers. But for Carrick to implement this in his 4th game in charge, whilst being quite an inexperienced manager, especially at this level, is extremely impressive. This isn't Vincent Del Bosque, the man himself who coached Spain to that Euro 2012 victory. It isn't Pep Guardiola, the master tactician. This is Michael Carrick, former Middlesbrough manager, who has that as basically his only proper job as a gaffer. Like I said, when you think about it, it is actually amazing what he's doing right now. But back to United against Spurs and the fluid strikerless tactics. Most lineups for the game will probably show Manchester United in a 4-2-3-1 with Mbeumo up top, which has been the case in previous games to be fair, but the reality for this one was much different. Carrick used an extremely fluid attack, and it was genuinely difficult to work out which players were playing where. There didn't seem to be an exact fixed position for any of the front 4 apart from Ahmad, who spent most of his time out on the right wing. Cunha and Bruno generally played centrally but switched between the right side and the left side, while Mbeumo also spent a lot of his time centrally but split his time also playing out wide on the left. The fluidity was extremely impressive and entertaining to watch, but also extremely effective. The Spurs players didn't know who was coming or going, and some of the passing on display from United was so impressive. Just check out some of these passages of play. The short passing is beautiful to watch. And these are just a few examples from this game. Short, quick and intricate passing has been a common theme of Carrick's tactics since taking over as Manchester United manager. And it's so good to watch. When Sesko was brought on late in the game, we saw more examples of Carrick's player-centric approach in action. And yeah, I know Spurs were obviously down to 10 men and the game was pretty much done, but Carrick stuck to his approach. He stayed true to himself and adjusted his tactics based on the player profiles that he had available on the pitch. Obviously, and I mean this with the absolute all due respect, Sesko isn't the type of player that you want in a sort of fluid attacking system. You don't want him finding himself out on the wings, and you don't want him coming deep like Cunha and Bruno were doing. So instead of sticking to the specific system or the specific tactics for this one game, Carrick changed it up to accommodate Sesko and used him as a traditional striker. And thus the shape of Manchester United completely changed, and we noticed a more traditional 4-2-3-1. And this was being used to accommodate the players that were on the pitch. It shows Carrick's immense trust in his players to essentially let them pick the formation and the tactics based on the player profiles that they are. And this is instead of having his own core tactics or his own system and forcing them to play how he wants. He's giving them the freedom to play and plays them exactly how they would do best. And you can see the players are absolutely loving it, and they're rewarding him with great performances and, more importantly, good results. Carrick and his backroom staff are obviously having a huge effect on this team, and his tactics in general are impressive, but the team also showcased their hard work behind the scenes, where they scored a goal from a corner which was right from the training ground. Whether or not Carrick can take full credit for this is doubtful, as there'll be a dedicated set piece coach for this type of work, but still, in the end, it's him and his team that have brought this in, so he does take some credit. It's sensational viewing for Manchester United fans, and I really hope they all appreciate what they have right now and the good work that Carrick is doing. And no, I'm not saying he's the next great manager, and he will face bigger tests and more adversity once managers and other teams start to work out his tactics and come up with ways and solutions to counter them. But right now, he is absolutely a breath of fresh air. But from what I've seen so far, if you were to put a gun to my head and ask me, do I want Michael Carrick to be the next permanent manager of Manchester United? I would probably right now say yes. I am that impressed by him. Let me know your thoughts on Carrick in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing, as it would really help the channel. Cheers.